Today, for the final course requirement of UPOU's Ecosystem Structure and Dynamics under the Master of Environment and Natural Resources, I, Allanis Rellik Palamiano, a licensed agriculturist, will be discussing plastic pollution and the policy responses undertaken by select Asian countries. Renewables such as solar, wind, and biomass energy can be replenished at a given period, while coal, natural gas, and minerals are considered non-renewables since their supply is finite and has a long formation time. However, keep in mind that renewables can become non-renewables through unsustainable practices. Aside from energy, most non-renewable resources are also mixed with organic materials through the process of polymerization and polycondensation to derive plastics. To date, there are 7 types of plastic as per the Resin Identification Code, a long wait since 1907 when Leo Hendrik Baekeland first invented synthetic plastic. From bottled drinks to food containers, people have managed to incorporate plastics into their daily lives in almost everything. It is not a surprise that the annual production of plastics in the world reaches over 400 million tons, thus totaling to about 8.3 billion tons of plastic produced since the 1950s. In 2022, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development declared that only 9% of global plastic waste is being recycled, while the rest ends up in landfills, uncontrolled dump sites, aquatic environments, or dissipated into toxic aerosols as they undergo incinerations. The United Nations found that marine plastic pollution has increased 10 times since 1980. It has been proven that plastics contain harmful chemicals and act as absorbents of other toxic pollutants. This increases the growth of pathogens and incidence of entanglement, ingestion, starvation, and suffocation of marine life. It was estimated that at least 267 species, particularly 86% of sea turtles, 44% of seabirds, and 43% of marine mammals are classified as endangered, while more than a third of all marine mammals, corals, and amphibians are now at risk of extinction just from plastic pollution. It also negatively affects soil productivity, which is essential for safeguarding the sustainability of food security and food accessibility. The increasing land area allocated for solid waste landfills creates a high economic opportunity cost, especially for farmers who would have been able to enrich the lands as their primary source of livelihood. As aforementioned, plastic waste incineration paves the way for harmful toxic chemicals such as nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, and volatile organic chemicals. The polluted air arising from this activity negatively affects the quality of photosynthesis, growth of beneficial bacteria, and drastically generates greenhouse gas emissions that leads to global warming. And most importantly, studies have shown that plastic pollution affects human health. Exposure to its toxin chemicals increases the likelihood of drastically impaired nervous, metabolic, neurodevelopment, and even problems in the reproductive systems. It also worsens asthma and develops diabetes and cancer. As greenhouse gases are also emitted throughout the plastic life cycle, plastic pollution jeopardizes our capacity to maintain the rate of global temperature increase of right below 1.5 degrees Celsius. One of the ways to prevent further downfall of our planet is through the adaptation of the ecosystems approach in the government policies. This would encourage formulation of strategies rooting from different fields with the aim of reaching sustainability, conservation, and equitable distribution of resources. Specifically, this can be applied in the implementation of environmental management practices, starting from the problem identification down to its evaluation and recommendation phases. Let's take a look at the policy responses in Asia. For Japan, they have resource circulating strategy for plastics where they target to reduce single-use plastic generation and promote effective utilization of plastics. They also revised their Marine Litter Act to address issues brought by microplastics. In Korea, they have integrated a waste management system and green purchasing policies. In Thailand, they have created a master plan for solid waste management, a 10-year plan for plastic management, and a national roadmap for the development of the bioplastic industry. Meanwhile, Indonesia launched its National Action Plan on Marine Debris for 2017 to 2025 and approved several legal frameworks for municipal solid waste management. In Vietnam, a law on environmental protection that subjects non-biodegradable plastic bags to tax has been enacted, and their prime minister has amended their action plan and its 2025 targets. In the Philippines, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act has been used as the model legislation of other countries, along with the enactment of the Clean Air Act and banning of waste incineration. Malaysia adheres to its Solid Waste Management and Public Cleansing Act, Master Plan for National Waste Minimization, No Plastic Bag Day campaign every Saturday, and tax incentivization program for green technologies. Lastly, Singapore has been strict in its anti-littering laws and their National Environment Agency acts and regulations. Aside from these strategies, the recently invented plastic waste bricks are another innovative approach to addressing plastic pollution. Another pioneering technology involving plastic pollution is the establishment of waste-to-energy power plants, which directly addresses the exponential increase in waste landfills and would promote resource recovery. Energy arising from trash. This has been the strategy of Sweden, followed by Czech Republic, Denmark, Norway, and Finland. Addressing environmental issues that endangers our lives and the planet requires us to have critical thinking, environmental awareness, and have an interdisciplinary, innovative, and highly involved approach.